Hello, good noon to all of you. Today we are discuss about reproduction of Batrachospermum. In Batrachospermum, oogamous type of reproduction. What is oogamous type of reproduction? In oogamous type of reproduction, male reproductive organs is small in size compared to their female reproductive organs, and female reproductive organs is the non-motile and male reproductive organs is the motile, and this type of sexual reproduction is known as oogamous type reproduction. In Batrachospermum, this same structure, the spermatangia, you can see the spermatangia is the smallest size compared to carpogonia. So, and their carpogonia structure, the carpogonium structure is the non-motile and the spermatangia structure is the motile. So it is so this type of reproduction is known as the oogamous type of sexual reproduction. Okay, we are discussed about in our previous lecture what is spermatangium and what is carpogonium. Spermatangium is the male reproductive organs and carpogonium is the female reproductive organs and their fertilization. The spermatia, after their liberation from the spermatangia, are carried passively by the water current to the trichogyne of the carpogonium. When the spermatium come into the contact with the trichogyne, the wall between a trichogyne and the spermatium dissolve at a point of this contact, and the male and female nuclei fuse to basal portion of the diploid zygote, and after carpogonium from fertilization, the trichogyne swelled. Okay, you can see in this figure, this is the structure of carpogonium and this is the spermatia. The spermatia are liberated from the spermatangium. The spermatia are liberated from the spermatangium. They are attached with the structure of the trichogyne, and their trichogyne and the spermatia wall is dissolved. So the female nuclei are fused with the male nuclei are fused with the female nuclei, and they are converted into the zygote, and this process is known as the fertilization. This is the carpogonium. They are the spermatangium and spermatangium are fused together and they are converted into the zygote. They are the known as fertilization process. Okay, then post fertilization change. After fertilization, one type of change in these algae, so they are known as the post fertilization change. After fertilization, the diploid nuclei of the zygote are divided meiotically in the result into the 4 haploid cell, and this nuclei divide into the mitotically and from a many daughter nuclei. After fertilization, one type of zygote nuclei is now diploid nuclei because of they are fused together, male and female, and they are converted into the zygote, and the zygote nuclei is now is the diploid, and the zygote nuclei is first divided by meiotically, means they are the convert into the 4 daughter nuclei. They are convert into the 4 daughter nuclei, but their process is the meiotic process, so they are convert into the further N cell, so they are convert into the 4 daughter nuclei. Meiotic division by the meiotic division, and they are further divide into the mitotically, and they are further divide into the mitotically. Okay, and this stage many outgrowth arise from the basal part of the carpogonium, and haploid daughter nuclei passed into each outgrowth, and this outgrowth with haploid nuclei are called gonioblast initial, and repeated the transverse division of gonioblast filament give rise a number of the small unbranched and branched gonioblast filament, and the terminal cell of this filament is function as a carposporangium. Okay, after meiosis process, first is the meiosis process and they are the mitosis process. Some cells are together, and they are the known as gonioblast, and the gonioblast is further divide into the one filament like structure, and this is the known as gonioblast initial. This is the known as gonioblast initial, and after some of this division, these are the gonioblast structure. Gonioblast initial is convert into the gonioblast filament. They are the gonioblast filament, and their gonioblast filament terminal cell, below cell, they are convert into the, and they are known as the carposporangium. First, the zygote is the sexual reproduction, the zygote formation, and their zygote formation is the divide by a meiotically, and there some meiotical, and they're known as the daughter nuclei, and the daughter nuclei is further divided by a mitotically. So this cell is further divided into one filament like structure, and they are the known as a gonioblast filament, and their gonioblast filament are further divided into the gonioblast initial, and their gonioblast initial is further divided into the gonioblast filament, and their gonioblast filament terminal cell is the known as carposporangia. You can see this is structure is the carposporangia, and this is the one type of the change after fertilization, so it is known as the post fertilization change. Okay, the single carpospore is formed in each carposporangium. The lower sterile cell of the gonioblast filament give rise to many sterile filament which form an envelope around the carpospore and the gonioblast filament. This composite structure of the carpospore and gonioblast filament, along with sterile filament, is known as a cytocarp, scytocarp, and carposporophyte, and carpospore is liberated by the rupture of the wall of the mature carposporangium. Okay, after the gonioblast filament, they are converted into the carposporangia, and the carposporangia wall, this structure is the wall of carposporangia, and they are break, and some carpospore are liberated from this structure. Okay, and their germination of carpospore get themselves attached to the substratum, and on the germination each carpospore from a protonema like structure, and which is eventually give rise a heteroticous system, and this represented a juvenile stage of Batrachospermum. They are known as a Cathrensia stage. Okay, and their carpospore is germinate to the one protonema like structure, means their cell is the further divide into the heteroticous system. It means they are further divide into the erect system and prostate system, and their juvenile stage means their young stage is known as the Cathrensia stage. You can see in this figure the carpospore are developed from the after post fertilization change. The carpospore are further germinate into some heteroticous in some heteroticous system. They are the prostate system, and they are the erect system. This is known as the heteroticous system, and they are this stage is the juvenile stage, means they are the young stage of the Batrachospermum, and this stage is known as the Cathrensia stage. Okay, Cathrensia stage is the important for a 1 mark or a 2 marks question. Okay, this is known as Cathrensia stage, and previous Cathrensia was supposed to be an independent algae genus, but now it has been established that all species of Cathrensia represent a phase in life cycle of Batrachospermum. The Cathrensia phase can reproduce itself. Okay, this is the Cathrensia stage. They are also known as the juvenile stage of Batrachospermum, and they are the germinate from Carposporangia. Carpospore. Then asexual reproduction. Reproduction takes place by means of uninucleated, haploid and monospore. These spores are formed into the Cathrensia stage. After Cathrensia stage, some spores are developed. This is known as the monospore. The monospore develop from the erect branches of the Cathrensia stage of Batrachospermum, and this monosporangium develop into a single monospore, and each monospore again germinate heterotechous protonema is called Cathrensia stage into the erect branch of this heterotechous juvenile stage give a rise to adult stage. Okay, you can see in this figure, this is the some branch, and some spore like structure develop, and their spore is further germinate into the whole plant body, and they are known as the asexual reproduction by the monospore. Okay, and then alternation of generation. Okay, what means alternation of generation? Their life cycle is known as alternation of generation. The thallus of Batrachospermum is a haploid gametophyte. It produces a male and female gametes which fuse together in the form of diploid zygote. This is the asexual reproduction. Then zygote undergoes the meiosis and haploid cell develop into the carposporophyte, and the carposporophyte contain gonioblast carpospore germinate into the Cathrensia stage, and it is also haploid filament carposporangia, and the life cycle of Batrachospermum shows the alternation of generation, and the haploid phase is the dominant and the diploid phase is the represented by zygote. So their life cycle is the haplobiotic life cycle. Their haploid phase is the dominant because of their structure is the haploid, and their gametes is also haploid, and their spore is haploid, and their monospore is also haploid. But so their haploid in their life cycle, haploid phase is dominant phase, but diploid phase is represented only by zygote, and so their life cycle is known as the haplobiotic life cycle. And haploid phase is the triphases, trigenic means haploid phase is 3 times develop in their life cycle. So their haploid gametophyte, haploid carposporophyte, and haploid Cathrensia stage. Hence their life cycle is known as haplontic life cycle. So the life cycle is haplontic life cycle, and they are also haplobiotic life cycle. Okay, thank you so much. Like and share this video.